Streaming. Are we streaming? Yeah. So I wanted to stream earlier, but I had an MRI, I had a couple appointments, and I rushed home to execute this trade. Now I did do a bark on this, but I figured, you know what? I've got the streaming set up. Let me just set up the streaming. Let's see what goes down here. And I'm going to just share. This is for alpha members. I've got a bark going on. I was I one of the reasons why I wanted to stream, not to flex the position or flex anything, because I want alpha members to hear me. I was out. I was getting an arm MRI. I had medical appointments, everything else, right? And I was calling the market in Discord from my phone. And while this is a fade trade, look at my entry. That entry is pretty solid there. Pretty solid entry there. So I'm pretty excited about that entry. We're going to just go to this chart here. That's a pretty solid entry, but what I want to share here is that the entry is I called well in advance. I called it in Discord. I'm sharing this specifically. I'm speaking to alpha members. These are members that are in my training. You're adopting the rec stock system. You're making your own. One of the points I made in the bark that I and why I wanted to stream here is because I don't know how to explain. Okay, so my nephew was a breacher. And if you don't know what a breacher is, there's a Navy SEAL that shares this. Yes, you are. You are first. You are first. And I'll go to comments after the market closes. I'm in this trade. We're up roughly. You can see 55 grand. I'm going to try to write it out. My target is 308. I want to hold it to 308. So hopefully it'll get to that point. We'll see. I mean, did I just say hope? I did say hope. Don't use the word hope. Don't use the word hope. You don't trade from hope. Okay. So there's this video of this Navy SEAL where what this Navy SEAL shares is that he's a breacher. Now, if you don't know what a breacher is, my nephew was a breacher, among other things, in the Marines. And a breacher, what they do is they know how to get through walls. They know how to open doors. They put explosives on the walls. They're the ones that actually start the operation. And he shares this story. This Navy SEAL shares this story. And I know that I relate a lot of things to the military. And there's a reason why I relate a lot of things in training to the military. Because the military, especially the tier 1 units, and if you don't know what a tier 1 unit is, a tier 1 unit is, DevGru, Navy SEALs. These are the top tier, Delta. I don't know if MARSOC is. Anyways, tier 1 units. They have to operate at such a level because that's life and death. They have to train at such a level that it's so serious. And I would never relate trading, but I had a lot of conversations with my nephew. That's, I'm not sharing anything that he wouldn't agree. He's seen combat. He's had a lot of friends of his die. So I asked him once when he was here and I was teaching him to trade. And so his name, Tony. I said, Tony, I kind of feel, I was in the Army, but I didn't, I'm not going to share my background, but I did different Army before 9/11. And I said, I often share things in trading that relate to combat, or that, that I hear from Navy SEALs or other people. And I said, from your perspective of a person that's seen combat, lost friends, and like, am I going too far with that? Meaning that trading is pulling capital from the market. That's what it's about. I think I'm going to take, I don't know. We'll give it a little room here. We'll give it a little room. So we're up 50 grand or so here on this trade. 50. You can look over here, 50. I'm holding out for 308. So I'm holding out for 308. We've got about 20 minutes in the market. Now what might happen is it might come out and spike, knocking me out here. At least on one of these trades, which is fine. I might re-enter then too. So I should just share this because I just realized I haven't shared with my group that I'm streaming. So what I really I didn't want permission from him. That's not what I was looking for. What I really wanted is I just wanted to say, hey, am I doing this from a perspective where I'm honoring the knowledge that these people have? That was my kind of reason for asking. Now, I say that because I relate military concepts oftentimes, or why does it say how to create swing trades? It's not what I wanted. So that's what the stream says. That's what happens when you set up streaming. You don't set up the titles. So the reason why I really asked is that, okay, does that make sense? Is that the best? Because there's other analogies I could use. I could use sport analogies. But to me, if you think about, well, what lessons out there in the world are more greater than a tier 1 unit dealing with life or death? Okay. So here's what I want alphas to hear. That's a long path for me to get to what I want alphas to hear. There's people, even if you're not alphas, you just watch me, you watch me stream, you see me trade, or you're interested in adopting some of my system. You have no interest in actually becoming a member and trading the best trading system on the planet. What I realized is that this trade here, it's pretty good entry, pretty decent entry, but I called it well in advance. I was calling it all day. Now I'm not saying, and when I was calling it, one of the things why I did the stream and why I have a bark on this is, one of the things I'm always wondering is, I've been trading since 2016, successfully since the end of 2017, 2018, profitable. And I would say elite level from 2020. That's what I would suggest. My trading from 2018 to 2020 was successful. It just was sloppy. And I've allowed sloppy trading to inject, to seep into my trading. I'm no longer accepting it with myself anymore. And I know I'm going down a couple different rabbit holes here, because here's the way I look at this now. If I started a prop firm, maybe I will, I wouldn't accept some things that I've done in the last 6 months as a trader, even though I've been profitable on those days. I would have almost fired myself on a couple days. I would have at least brought myself into a room and said, you've got 2 chances. You do that again, you're out of this prop firm. So I don't know why I accept that. I don't accept that. I have a higher standard for myself as a trader. Also, from a person, and this is something that I'll be sharing as we go forward. As like, most people don't understand. Like, I know you look at what I do and you look at, my trading, and you're like, this doesn't make sense with this guy. This guy shows up every day in Discord. I've had people specifically say, dude, I don't understand. You show up every day on Discord. You're a profitable trader. You only sell your training for $9.97. Like, what the hell? Like, something doesn't make sense here. I'm like, yeah. You know what doesn't make sense? Because what most of you don't understand, I don't know how to operate any other way. So, meaning, this is me. This is how I operate. This is how I function. So, and I'm fine with it. That's the other thing you have to learn as a trader. You need to be fine with just being who you are and not apologize to anybody, because that's the only way you're going to make it as a trader. The only way you're going to make it as a trader is if you just are fine trading your own conviction. And that's going to lead back to the point that I was talking about. So we're going to get back to this Navy SEAL. So this Navy SEAL, he was a breacher. Okay. And what he does, a breacher, basically imagine he's got 30 guys on his team, and he's at a door. He's already prepared explosives. He's put the explosives on the door. And what he did is he looked back, and it's dark. So it's, dark. It's middle of the night, probably 2:00 in the morning or something like that. It's dark. And what he looked back, and this is the story he tells. I'll share the video. So I'll share the video of him telling this story. So he looked back, and what he saw was just green eyes. Just because basically they have night vision goggles on. And what he realized is that he was the start of the whole operation. Everybody was waiting for him. And it wasn't just him. It was the drone in the sky. It was the helicopters, the airplanes, all the support. Once he breached the door, the operation was on. Everybody from the Pentagon to any person supporting that mission was focused on him saying 3 words. And it's the same 3 word. But the same 3 words is basically, and the story he told, and this is why I want to relate it to traders, to alphas especially. Because one of the things that I've said with alphas of the last couple weeks is that if you haven't mastered momentum and bias trades, you have no permission to do fade trades. Here's the other thing that I've calculated that I think I've figured out. Momentum trades are 70% of your trades, and then 30% of your trades are fade trades. And then those 30% better be the top 10%, because fade trades are riskier and they're harder to execute. So we get back to this Navy SEAL and his story. What he looked back, he was about to just blow the charges and basically, enter the operation and the Navy SEALs were going to go in and kill all the bad guys. So let me just share this on YouTube real quick. And what he realized is that everybody was waiting for him. And he has 3 words. And I didn't ask my nephew if these are the 3 words that they use. I'm sure it is. But he has 3 words that basically, and they are execute, execute, execute. And on the 3rd execute, he launches the charges, he gets out the way, and then the team rushes in and starts killing bad guys or whatever their mission is. But before that 3rd execute, everybody's waiting for him. Now, how I relate this to alphas in trading is that, let me share it from this perspective. So I've been watching Band of Brothers. Have you seen that HBO show, Band of Brothers? And I haven't checked if anybody can hear me. So hopefully I'm actually streaming. But I rewatch, because I probably rewatch it every couple years. It's a great show. So I'll rewatch the 2nd season. But I'm in the middle of the 1st season. And one of the things, if you watch that show, basically they interview some of the people that were there. And one of the episodes, I'm going to get out of one of these trades because the market's about to close here in about 12 minutes. No, we'll keep it there. We'll keep it there. I think what we'll do, we're going to manage this trade a little bit. These are trailing stops. I'm going to put fixed stops in. So there, I'm going to put fixed stops, and then I'll get taken out there if it does retest the fast momentum. We'll put it right at that low. If it tags that low, we'll get taken out. So one of the episodes, if you watch that show, basically the episodes focus on, there's different themes, I'd say, in each episode. This theme was fear. And thank you. Thanks for sharing that you can hear me. So I see it, number one, I had to figure out, and I believe every trader has to figure out, how to use fear. Not ignore fear. How to use fear to trade. Instead of ignoring it, and instead of trying to feel safe, you need to figure out, how do I use fear to trade? Because the point with the Band of Brothers is that one of the interviews in the beginning of the show said, look, everybody felt fear. But what you couldn't allow, and this is an officer, I believe, said that you would, and my nephew said this is called going black. I haven't heard that term, but basically what happens is if someone experiences, my stop losses are, here. So you'll see that is, what was my stop? I didn't have any stops. Typically when I trade with conviction, I don't trade with stops. I trade myself out of trades. So that'll be another video for another time. So I'm going to take some profit here. I'm going to take 10 off just because it stalled at the OR high and it might rip up, but it might rip down too. So I took some off. We're in 20 lots left, still 35K up. Took about, 15 grand in profit there. So maybe a little bit more. So what he shared is that you can't allow fear to fester. Everybody feels fear. So I think this was during the Bastogne episodes, where basically, look, they're being shelled nonstop. And of course, everybody felt fear. And you can't let it dominate you, because if fear will infect a whole unit, and then the unit will be ineffective. The unit won't be able to operate, fight and maneuver, fire and maneuver, do anything if you allow fear to take hold and infect the unit. Everybody feels fear though, but the way you deal with it is you don't show it, at least from the perspective of them talking about in combat and how to deal with it in that situation. But they still felt fear. They used, and I don't think they necessarily used fear. They figured out how to channel the fear so that it didn't dominate every action, even though pretty much every second of the day they felt fear. Should have been a little bit more patient there, obviously. But we take profit in thirds here with the Rex Dog system. So I haven't taken any profit on this position yet. So how I would relate this to alphas, and what I want you to hear, especially if you're alpha and you're adopting the Rex Dog system, is that there's a couple things that so when you've become a member and you've decided to adopt my system and make it your own, that's something that, like I said, you can't trade another man's system. It's like you can't wear another man's underwear. You can't trade another man's system. So you need to, from day one, when you get into my training, into my system, you're making it your own, because that's how you're going to trade with conviction. The other aspect to that is that here's the thing that maybe you haven't thought about, that you've accepted when you are adopting my system. You've accepted that you are a pure chart trader. You don't care about the news. You don't care about fundamentals. Now, you might care about that, and maybe you put that in your system. But I'm saying from just if you're adopting my system is based on not fundamentals. It's not based on the news. We know known news events. So obviously we don't trade around known news events. Like when the Fed's doing an announcement, we know, okay, that's happening. That's on the calendar. We're not going to trade. We're going to trade the reaction. We know that. But what I would share is that the mere fact that you've decided to adopt the system, there's a few parameters that you've accepted, whether or not you agree to them or not, because that's the way the system's designed. And it's a highly effective system because of that. Meaning that we trade reactions. The system's designed to tell us where reactions happen. And then we trade patterns. That's all. That's what we do. Now, since you're adopting the system, you've accepted the fact. And I would say anybody that's adopting any trade system, you need to accept this fact. Do you want to be a chart trader? If you're going to be a chart trader, you then need to decide that you believe the chart. Meaning when the chart gives you information and patterns, what are you going to do? Are you not going to believe it? And what point in time in the future are you going to believe it? That's what I would ask you. What magical time in the future are you going to just magically start believing what the chart tells you? And I say this from the perspective because this is dealing with fear. Most traders are not successful because they don't know how to channel their fear to execute. And what I would say is that if you want to be a successful trader, you need to trade. I know I say often too that it shouldn't be called trading, it should be called waiting, and I would agree with that. That's the best way. But there is a point in time where here's the thing. If you're not executing trades that are very clear, that you know you should be executing, you're allowing fear to fester within your mind, your body, your trading system. You're allowing fear to fester. Now, I'm not saying you go out there and just start executing trades all crazy and everything else. What I'm saying is that you need to recognize that. And why I'm bringing it up for today is not because I'm in this position here. Well, I'm using it to illustrate something. I got an MRI today, and I was out running other errands, medical stuff, and everything else. For those that don't know, I have terminal cancer, stage 4. You know, I got cancer in 4 areas of my body. You know, I get cancer treatment every 2 weeks, right? So I get scans every 2 or 3 months, MRIs, CT scans, and stuff like that. So far, I'm keeping it at bay. You know, I'm planning to stick around for quite a while. So as long as I can. Here we go. Market just closed, or about to close in 5 minutes. We might see it rip up. Might rip up to 308. So we're targeting this area, 308, 315. That's what we're targeting. That's where we'd like to take some profit. We'll look for an exhaustion move here. Obviously, I'm hindered a little bit because I don't have the 4 chart set up here, but you can see here. What did I just say? Or where was I at? Because I distracted myself on the point that I wanted to make for alphas. Oh, fear. Okay, I'm not saying that you just go out and execute, but you need to self-correct, or you need to figure out how much fear plays a role in your overall effectiveness as a trader. I did a stream this weekend talking about, so it's on YouTube. I didn't click start on TradingView, so it's on YouTube. It's how to create swing trades. 2 hours. A member asked, on Saturday, a member asked, hey, looking at swing trades, how do I do some of this? And so good. I'll talk to your David. I'll talk to you, David, on the message that you, or the comment that you left on YouTube. So you need to understand, in a way, you need to have a fear gauge. That's what I'd like to see. Like, how much of your daily trading decisions are driven by fear? I didn't. So for instance, David, let's go off. David on YouTube shared, yep, exactly happened to me this morning. My system told me to execute, but I was fearful and missed a good entry. Exactly. So you've recognized it. Okay. So, embrace the fear. It's kind of like when you're in, embrace the suck. Once again, I'm using a military term, embrace the suck. You'll hear people say that, because oftentimes you're in the suckiest things that is happening. And, you're just embracing it. I'm probably going to exit 10 if it does an exhaustion here, and then I'll keep 10 in, and then I'll put trailing stops at various areas and just hold it overnight. See if we can hold, maybe it continues to move overnight. So I'll hold it. I don't generally hold positions. Generally I go flat, but I've got more than enough ammunition in this account to hold overnight positions, even if it gaps past them. So that's the risk that you have, is that the market opens, something happens, and then it gaps past your positions, and then you are up bigly, and then you're suddenly down bigly. That's one of the risks that you have if you hold past settlement, just so you know, because settlement can gap past your stops. And even though you have, orders in there till canceled, the broker doesn't honor that. I mean, it's not the broker, it's just the market. So, so David, I don't know what system you're trading, but if I'm going to talk to someone that was trading our system, you need to me, the fear is like the number one thing. And here's the challenge that I have from a perspective of a trainer. One of the questions I had with this trade, and I think I mentioned this earlier, was like, okay, and this is something I've got good at the last 3 to 6 months. How much of this trade was me and my experience as what I consider an elite trader? I consider myself an elite trader. Need to get better. But how much of this was based on my experience of watching charts and my gut? And how much of this was the Rexdog trade system? I believe it's 80 to 90% of the Rexdog trade system. Based on the patterns and based on, especially in the pattern library, especially with the 4 chart setup, because I didn't trade this with conviction. I didn't do anything outside of what, after 30 days, you would understand how to trade the Rexdog trade system. So what I mean by 30 days, let's say you joined, and I know we have new members that joined recently. Within 30 days, number one, within the first 6 hours, you have a full 10,000 foot overview of the system. And then if you go through the 3-hour evidence videos, You see across multiple markets that the system works. So you understand at a high level. Now, can you execute at a high level? No, because number one, you don't have conviction. You haven't adopted the system to make it your own. And the other aspect is that you haven't had 3 green days, for instance. 10 green days or green sessions. There's a couple different things. Number one, it's new. Even if you have, I would say if you have more trading experience, then your learning curve is different. But what I mean by 30 days is this is someone that, look, you want trading to be a change in your life for whatever reason, whatever your why. And you're dedicating daily time, focused daily time, not unfocused, not I'm just going to do it here and there. No, I'm talking about you have in your schedule, and you tell your loved ones, people you know, and say, look, you don't even have to, I wouldn't suggest you tell them this. What I would suggest you do is that, and I don't care, let's say you're not adopting my system. I'm just going to be agnostic about this. Let's say from this day forward, from watching me right here, so that, okay, I want trading to be a change in my life. For wealth generation, for whatever your goals, whatever your why, doesn't matter. Well, have you put in your calendar whatever you have available every single day? You have at least 30 minutes probably every single day. Some of you have maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. So what I would implore you to do, especially if you get into my system, take it seriously, because I take it seriously. I show up every single day. I'm consistently updating it, and I'm streaming. I enjoy streaming. I enjoy trading. It's my passion. It's my calling. It's also why I do this. But you need to put in your schedule, and if you have people that, like your family, and say, look, I'm working on learning a new skill. Let's say, take trading out of it. It could have been guitar. Let's say that you always wanted to learn to play the guitar. Well, one way to do that is every day you pick up the guitar and you start from the basics and you learn it, and every day you focus on it. But if you don't do that, you're never going to learn guitar. It's not going to happen. You're not going to magically pick up the guitar in 30 days and be better if you're not doing it every single day. So what you would just share with your significant others is say, look, I need to reserve 90 minutes every day, or at least 5 days a week or 6 days a week. And I'm going to be disciplined, and I'm going to focus on just this. Turn off my phone, turn off everything. I'm going to go to a space. And if you're going through training, you're going to go through the training. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, this is how you go through training, not just my training. You trust but verify. Anything I say, you should trust it, but then verify it for yourself, because then you have conviction. That's how you go through my training. Number one, you look at everything. Okay, he says that this is a pattern that he sees day after day, and he trades day after day. And I see him traded in the stream. Okay, great. Well, that's great. But until you actually go out and see it every day yourself and you believe it, you're not going to trade it with conviction. Like, David shared earlier, and even, I'm sure other people have shared, which is his system said, execute a trade, but I was too fearful and I missed a good entry. And, the fear might have been, who knows what the fear was, but that there was fear there. So one way to deal with that, I would suggest, is do what I call participation trades. And here's the thing. Here's what people don't realize. So not only should you go into training, and let's say that you're not doing training and let's say you can't afford it, but you have capital to trade with, but you can't afford any training. And you say, okay, look, I've got X amount of dollars and I need to create a trade system myself. Okay. You need to do the same thing. What you need to do is you need to block off daily time and block everything out of the world, everything, and be singularly focused on creating a trade system that you can trade. In fact, if you're watching this, I have a trade that I've just shared in the Bravo Den. So I have a den called the Bravo Den. So if you are watching, link below to Discord, join Discord. asked to join the Bravo Den, and I shared a trade there based on the VWAP. And why the VWAP? Because I don't care what trade system you adopt, you need to factor in the VWAP somewhere, or you will factor in the VWAP somewhere, because across all markets that have volume, obviously like indexes that don't have volume, did the market close? Yeah, the market closed. So we're going to get out of 10 here. Yeah, we're going to get out of 10. So we'll sell 10. And then what I'll do, I'm going to put 2 stop losses at various points based on our trade system. So there's 6 and we're in 10 lots left. So we're going to do 8 right there, and then we'll do 10 right there. Okay, why did it not pick it up? All right, and then I'm going to verify somewhere else to make sure that they're there. Okay, we're good. So we're still up about 20, 19,650 on this trade. And then before settlement here, around in about 7 more minutes, 6 more minutes, I might just get out completely, just because I'll look and see how this ends. For those that don't know, I used to trade the close and the open pretty regularly and got pretty good at it. So, if you join Discord, ask to become, and I share a trade setup. And what I shared on that trade setup is that, okay, it's based on the VWAP. You know, you can go out and do research on the VWAP. Oftentimes in my training, what I teach is not contrary, but a little bit different than what you read out there. And that's kind of what I shared with this, though. And I'll just share this directly, which is, look, you might only get 1 or 2 trades a day based on this setup. But if you can't, as a new trader, discipline yourself to learn and master one trade, what makes you think that you're going to be able to learn and master more than one trade? So I don't know. I don't play the guitar, but let's say you can't play riffs on a guitar or chords. What makes you think that you're going to go out and be able to play solos? I don't know anybody that, well, I don't know. Maybe there is. I would think that if you play solos on guitars, on a guitar, you're probably going to have to know how to play chords. You're probably going to have to know the fundamentals. So it's the same way with trading. Like if you can't discipline yourself to master one single trade and focus on mastering that, a highly probable profitable trade, what makes you think that you're going to be able to execute and master more than one if you can't even master one? Are you suddenly going to get up in 60 days, 90 days, and just wake up and go, oh, I'm a genius trader. I have 5 different patterns I trade. You know, and I'm sharing kind of this perspective mainly because what I want to share is one of the challenges, one of the frustrations I have is that I can have the best trade system in the planet, which I believe I do. One of the best. But I can't imbue or I can't inject the emotion. I can't account for the emotional makeup of every single person that wants to adopt my system. I can't even account for, because it's so specific. You know, for instance, David, I'm not picking on you, but David, you left a comment. You said your system told you to execute. I don't know what emotional hang-up you have that told you not to. I mean, you said it was fear, but I don't know, was it fear of loss? Was it fear, you know, one way to go back, one way to overcome that is trade at here's the thing about trading. It's like anything else. If you picked up the guitar every single day for a year, you would be a much better guitar player than you were when you started. It's the same way with trading. And the only way that you build the muscle in trading is you actually trade live capital markets with live money. So let's say that, I don't know what your normal lot size is, David, but let's say your normal lot size is 6, for instance, or let's say it's 9. It might not be 9. Why not just trade one lot with that trade? Because while I bet, here's the thing, and I see this with traders time and time again, that one lot, you're going to have the same fear level as if you were trading 9. because you're in the same situation. Now, here's the thing. If you do this day in and day out, you're going to be building that muscle with live capital, with live trading. Demo trading is great. So here's the thing. Backtesting is a waste of time for most traders because most traders don't know how to properly backtest. Because the problem with backtesting is that it doesn't duplicate real-time markets and the stress you're under making real-time decisions. So the only way to duplicate that, I'm going to go back to the military. You train how you fight. So you often hear Navy SEALs talk about that they train, their training's harder than some of their battles. You'll hear what's interesting is that supposedly these Navy SEALs are silent warriors, but you can go to YouTube and basically every Navy SEAL is talking now. Every Navy SEAL's on a podcast. It's just funny but it's interesting stuff. I mean, there's a lot to be learned and a lot of great conversations. But when you look at that, and the point I wanted to make, sorry, I just swallowed some coffee, weird, is that I lost my train of thought. I do apologize. Well, let me just wrap up here because the market's closed. I got to get on a phone call. I got to talk to a few people. So tomorrow I will be streaming probably in the afternoon. I've got a medical appointment basically looking at the results of my scan today, with some of my doctors, to kind of talk about next step in treatments. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing tomorrow in the morning. But I should be able to call the market pre-market, and maybe I'll be in some trades pre-market as well. So I guess what I want to leave everybody with actually is I was talking about live trading the market and building your muscle. Trade and so for instance, I'm just going to use me as an example. So if you've been following me on Discord or anything, I took all my capital out of crypto exchanges a couple months ago, 6 to 8 months ago, and basically went to my storage, right? And just said, okay, I thought this was the time when things were going to go haywire. Well, I then, I started with $191 in KuCoin. I still had $191 in KuCoin, and I built that up to about $1,000, $1,100. And I said I would keep changing the number. I'm not going to fund it more until I get to like $1,500. And there's a reason for that. Now you might think at your level, look, you're having a P&L day where you're up 20 grand, whatever else I'm up from other trades and stuff like that today. You might say, well, dude, you're trading $191. Well, because I'm looking at the percentage I'm making. That's what matters. The dollar figure doesn't matter. What matters is because I have 3 habits that I've developed in my trading that I need to squash. And when I do, it's going to be next level trading, especially if I squash them and I don't go back. It's going to be, next tier trading. If I can squash these 3 habits that I've developed that harm my trading and my P&L. So in KuCoin, I started with $191. I'm not focused on the dollar figure. I'm focused on, I just made 12%. I just lost 3% on that trade. And I just made 15% on the next trade. I just lost 2% and then I just made 8%. I'm focused on executing good trades because that's the muscle that I'm working on. I'm not focused on, okay, let me get rich in KuCoin. And I'm not sitting there feeling bad for myself that, oh, if only that was $10,000 instead of this. If I was trading with $10,000, yeah, of course, I do feel a certain aspect, and especially with my diagnosis, when you have a disease that's terminal, for instance, time becomes the most important factor. Of course, I'm like, okay, am I wasting time here? No, because I've been through this many times before in my trading where I've had to readjust. It's about executing good trades. It's about executing my system the way it's intended to, because trading is not about having a challenge. Trading is about getting up every day and pulling capital from the market and putting it in my pocket. That's what it's about. It's not about me getting up and having that endorphin high and getting, feeling great. Like Matt G, I do appreciate you saying congrats on the big profit day. And I appreciate it. But to me, this should be business as usual. That's I'm not saying that I operate from that perspective, but that's how it should be operated from, because the trade system, when I go back day in, day out, the trade system today, it was a B plus day on the trade system. If, I'm starting to grade, at least just on the NQ, the daily, how well did the day follow? If you followed the trade system and the patterns and the rules that we have, how well would you have done just being a dumb meat robot, meaning just following the system? It was a B plus day today. There's a couple times where it was difficult, but once you waited for confirmation, this trade I executed before confirmation because I'm an aggressive trader, but also because the other thing, not only that, I would have cut this trade, and all alpha members should know exactly where I would have cut this trade. It's chart 4. Just look at chart 4. You'll know exactly where I would have cut this trade if there was a close below. Close below that, I would have cut this trade and probably reversed. Other than that, I was calling the bluff on the market. And then the better place in confirmation would have been right around 13,178. 13,178 would have been confirmation on all 4 charts, except chart 4. Chart 4 wouldn't have gave you confirmation. Chart 4, it was still iffy. So, anyways, I went way longer than I thought. I thought it was only a stream for like 20 minutes. Any other questions before I go? I want to make sure that I address everybody because I just kind of went on a tirade here. I don't know about a tirade, but I just kind of went off on well, here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to start a prop firm, but if I started a prop firm, I'm treating Discord like it's a prop firm, meaning that I have high expectations of traders that are adopting the system. And if I were to hire you as a trader to trade my capital, there's certain things I wouldn't accept. So why am I accepting them? So I'm going to do it in a nice way, meaning I'll correct, and that goes with me as well. I'm an employee of the prop firm. And if I'm not a trade manager, meaning I'm not actively trading and I'm trading, then I need to be held to the same standards as I would hold a trader in my prop firm. So I'm holding myself to those standards. Just because, I'm the owner doesn't mean that I can break the standards that I set for other people. What kind of example is that? So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's fair, or not fair. I don't know. Anybody, any other questions before we go? Otherwise, I do plan to stream in the afternoon tomorrow, providing everything goes well. Meaning I get back in time, able to set things up and everything else. I am a little upset that I did this stream and it says how to create swing trades. It's not the proper title. I'll go back and edit it. And I just released an indicator today. So it's called Rexdog RD Key Levels. It's on TradingView. It's a free indicator. So if you haven't seen that, all it is, not all, but I mean, it plots the daily open, the daily open, the weekly open, and the previous VWAP level. So if you haven't checked that out, that was shared in Discord as well. If you haven't joined Discord, join Discord. If you are interested in the Bravo Den, meaning that maybe you want to kick the tires of the system or really get a feel for something a little bit more than what's in general, ask to join the Bravo Den. The Bravo Den is basically where I'm assuming that you want to adopt aspects of the Rexdog trading system. And basically that's kind of more focused, where basically just in the Bravo Den, I'm going to share we're going to talk about just trading the VWAP, just trading that setup, and then mastering that setup, and then the components of the Rexdog trading system. So send me a DM and say, hey, or even in general, just say, hey, I want to join the Bravo Den, sign me up. or just add me. There's no sign me up, just add me. Other than that, I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. And I see no other questions. I'll wait here just to make sure that there's no other questions on Discord or TradingView, just because I want to make sure that I answer any questions that people might have before I go. So I'm going to give it 2 minutes because I know there's a little delay. Where are we at? Let me make sure nothing's on Discord. So I think someone shared something, not in the den. Yeah. So I know someone just passed their funded account, I think. So congrats on that. I know there's a couple people doing these funded account things. I might try it as well. So that's one thing I might go into one of these funded account companies. I know how they operate now. I've spoke to a consultant that sets these up, so I understand how these funded accounts operate from a strategic, legal, and capital level. So I understand it. None of it's real. It's not like a casino. It's not real capital. You're not interacting with the market, but there is the terms of service. As long as they keep the terms of service, is how you would trust to get paid based on your performance. But even after you get approved, there is no guarantee that you're actually trading the market. You're trading simulated accounts, as far as I can tell. Otherwise, it would require licensure. Anyways, that's a different rabbit hole. All right. Look forward to seeing everybody in the next stream. Everybody have a great rest of their day or start of their day, wherever they happen to be in the world. See you on the next stream. Oh, sorry.